Sir Robert Laird Borden, known simply as Robert Borden, was born in June 1854 and died in June 1937. So June the 10th, 1937, failing by 16 days to reach 83 years. He was born in Grand Pré, Nova Scotia, and died in Ottawa. He was known as a wartime prime minister, serving in that office from October 1911 to July 1920. His government passed the War Measures Act, created the Canadian Expeditionary Force, and eventually introduced compulsory military service, which sparked the 1917 conscription crisis, because many French Canadians, especially Quebecers, refused to serve. On the home front, it dealt with the consequences of the Halifax explosion, introduced women's suffrage for federal elections, and used the Northwest Mounted Police to break up the 1919 Winnipeg general strike. For the 1917 federal election, Borden created the Unionist Party, a combination of conservatives and pro-conscription liberals, winning an overwhelming majority. He retired from politics about 1 year after the Versailles Peace Treaty, which also he had signed. Having accepted a knighthood in 1915, he was the last Canadian Prime Minister to be knighted. He was also the last Prime Minister born before Confederation and the most recent Nova Scotian to hold the office. His portrait has appeared on Canadian $100 notes produced since 1976. However, in late 2016, the Canadian federal government announced that when the banknotes were to be redesigned, Borden's image would be removed. From 1868 to 1874, he worked as a teacher in Grand Pré and Matawan, New Jersey, but he saw no future in that career, returning to Nova Scotia in 1874. Despite having no formal university education, he went on to article for 4 years at a Halifax law firm. And in August 1878, he was called to the Nova Scotia bar, placing first in the bar examinations. He went to Kentville, Nova Scotia as the junior partner of the conservative lawyer John P. Chipman. In 1880, he was inducted into the Freemasons. In 1893, Borden successfully argued the first 2 cases which he took to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. He represented many of the important Halifax businesses and sat on the boards of Nova Scotian companies, including the Bank of Nova Scotia and the Crown Life Insurance Company. In 1896, he was elected to the Canadian House of Commons. In 1901, he became the Conservative leader. In 1904, he lost his Halifax seat in the federal election and re-entered the House of Commons via a by-election in Carleton in 1905. In 1911, he played partly on nationalist and patriotic sentiments to defeat the Liberals in controversy against Laurier's proposals for a reciprocity or free trade agreement with the United States. Despite suffering from, for example, arthritis and sciatica, according to a biographer of most Canadian prime ministers, Jim Watts, Prime Minister Borden still slept outdoors at the age of 80 in good weather.